Unveiling the Quran's empowerment of women amidst misogynist Muslim traditions and Islamophobic myths, the revolutionary ideas of a strange book. By Hamed Hosseini. Within the pages of the Quran, a narrative emerges that starkly opposes male dominance and misogyny, while advocating for the empowerment of women. This 1400-year-old text, which predates all other written texts with an inclination towards gender justice, reveals itself as a herald of a progressive movement during its era. Astonishingly, despite the passage of 14 centuries, it continues to offer profound insights. This very characteristic of being a liberating force is at the heart of genuine Islamic principles, a quality that has been both dismissed by Islamophobes, who distort its essence in order to spread hatred and division, and hijacked by extremists who suppress its true message in favor of their own misogynistic belief systems. Amidst these conflicting interpretations, the essence of a grassroots, indigenous Islamic movement, championed by male and female progressive figures, remains vigilant and awaits the moment to rekindle from beneath the surface. This duality, encompassing both those who distort the resurgence of Islam and those who apprehend the revival of its original liberating essence, has fundamentally misconceived the fundamental values inherent in Islam, as encoded within the Quran. It also misapprehends the socio-political undertakings of early Muslims and the myriad transformative movements that have been sparked throughout history, all of which draw inspiration from these foundational principles. More than half a century ago, Dr. Ali Shariati, the Iranian intellectual and revolutionary, championed an Islamic enlightenment founded on a discerning critique of both traditional and modernist approaches to Islamic beliefs and practices. Drawing upon the Quran's fundamental values, he proposed a dynamic interaction between the text and its contextual application, a critical dialectic. Shariati dismantled the fallacious dichotomy between tradition and modernity, urging a return to the foundational principles of justice and freedom embedded in the Quranic framework. This vision necessitates a comprehensive and critical examination of how hierarchical cultures have influenced our interpretation of the Quran, Hadith, and the formative struggles that gave rise to Islam as a transformative civilization. Shariati's perceptive analysis presciently cautioned against the dangers inherent in the notion of an authoritarian Islamic state, regardless of any outward guise of anti-imperialism. The Quran's resolute defense of gender equality and its unyielding fight against misogyny is evident throughout many verses. It stands as the oldest reference text in human history to devote one of its longest chapters, Surah An-Nisa, Women, to addressing matters concerning women. Notably, this chapter formally proclaims gender equality in its very first verse, a declaration often censored by proponents of both extremist and Islamophobic ideologies. Instead of merely making a contractual declaration, the Quran intricately ties this equality to the very origin of human creation, a single soul. This assertion, radical in its era, resonates as an equally powerful concept today. It challenges the common notion of gender equality as a mere international agreement, devoid of a deeper ontological rationale. To those who perceive creation's purposefulness, the Quran's assertion of intrinsic gender equality resounds as a call to honor not just human dignity, but the divine essence of creation itself, an essence transcending the superficiality of signatures or legal agreements. Hence, for those who ardently champion gender equality, the true path lies in embracing the profound essence of this equality, wherein the intrinsic parity between genders emanates not from the randomness of evolutionary theory, but from a deliberate, purposeful creation. A creation designed to elevate humanity to the status of custodians of the web of life and the inheritors and promoters of divine wisdom. This purposeful intent lends a sacred and enduring significance to ethical principles of justice and liberty. Such principles, whether realized through commitment or creation, birth a value system that extends beyond the confines of this mortal realm, paving the way for an eternal existence in paradises nourished by these very values. The finality of this existence is where only virtuous deeds find ultimate realization, akin to God's eternal essence, while impurities, immorality, and malevolence are consumed by the fires of oblivion, forever condemned to eternal decay. Nestled within the teachings of the Quran lies a profound summons for humanity to contemplate and glean wisdom from the natural world, rising above the narrow perspective of those who perceive civilization as straying from the harmonious laws of nature. The violators are destined to face the fury of nature's wrath, Running parallel to the intricate tapestry of ecological diversities is its extension into the mosaic of humanity's varied nations, cultures, and ethnicities. Within this rich framework, the Qur'an gracefully acknowledges the profound spectrum of gender diversity. Just as the delicate balance of biodiversity safeguards the continuity of life on our planet, the Qur'an recognizes the intricate weave of human diversity, encompassing both national identities and gender distinctions, as nothing short of essential for the enduring fabric of humanity's shared existence. Surah Al-Rum, verse 22. And of his signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth and the diversity of your languages and your colors. Indeed, in that are signs for those of knowledge. Surah Al-Hujurat, verse 13. O mankind, indeed we have created you from a common ancestral male and a common ancestral female and made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Indeed, Allah is knowing and acquainted. Let's take a moment to observe the surface of our seemingly progressive modern civilization, one that has sacrificed the botanical and zoological diversities of the world in pursuit of profit and wealth, transforming the globe into a desolate wasteland. Look closely, for this suppression of natural diversity has gone hand in hand with the suppression of cultural variations, and the subjugation of women, migrants, laborers, and the vulnerable. It matters not which country it unfolds in, whether the regime claims religiosity or secularism, autocracy or democracy. Notice how they all gravitate toward a common direction. Their policies tighten, economies become more capitalistic, and their cultures breed an increasing fear of the unfamiliar. Their societies fracture and disperse. Any ideology or regime that seeks to suppress ethnic and gender diversities, whether through one group subduing another or by weakening a particular gender, defies the divine order of nature and should be halted. Yes, valuing women, life, justice, freedom, ethics, and fostering diversity in thoughts and cultures, to a degree where they do not become destructive forces, is a tapestry interwoven with a purpose. We shall not allow this so-called modern civilization, estranged from nature and the nature of our human essence, to make us estranged from our bountiful sources of liberation. Under the pretext of civilization, the ruling classes extract and exploit material resources at a cost while burying our sources of emancipatory inspirations beneath the weight of superstitions or aversion, for if we unearth and utilize these resources independently, they can no longer plunder nature. In the very surah or chapter entitled, Women, within the Qur'an, emerges the divine decree of women's financial autonomy, marking the first instance in the annals of human history. Within this surah, women are emancipated from the burden of servitude and submission to husbands, and akin to men, they ascend to ethical roles and equitable social rights. In traditional societies, inheritance was often passed down through male descendants, but the surah emphasizes that women, in addition to receiving inheritance, also have the role of distributing inheritance and being inheritors in their own right. This signifies a shift in the perspective and rights of women in matters of inheritance. And do not wish for that by which Allah has made some of you exceed others. For men as a share of what they have earned, and for women as a share of what they have earned. And ask Allah of His reward. Indeed Allah is ever, of all things, knowing. Qur'an, 4:32. In Surah An-Nisa, verse 7 outlines the general rule for inheritance as follows. For men as a share of what the parents and close relatives leave, and for women as a share of what the parents and close relatives leave, be it little or much, an obligatory share. Qur'an, chapter 4, verse 7. For instance, both parents, male and female, equally inherit from their children. However, in the case of children gaining inheritance, a disparity appears. In Surah An-Nisa, verse 11, it states, Allah instructs you concerning your children. For the male child, what is equal to the share of two females, from what is left for them? But if there are, only, daughters, 2 or more, for them is 2/3. And if there is only one, for her is half. And for one's parents, to each one of them, male or female, is a sixth of the inheritance, if she left children. But if she had no children and the parents, alone, inherited from him, her, then for her mother is 1/3. And if she had brothers, or sisters, for her mother is a sixth after any will she has made or after the debt is cleared. Let us not overlook a crucial principle within Islam. The concept of inheritance is tempered by the recognition that it should not lead to excess. Drawing from the Qur'an, it becomes evident that the true wellspring of value lies ultimately in people's earnest endeavors, not merely the act of inheriting. As per verse 39 of chapter 53, the human being shall have nothing but what they labored for. This perspective underscores that inheritance must not be the determinant of prosperity. Consider that at the time of Islam, most land and resources were commons. The exceptional disparity in the distribution of heritage applies only to the remaining assets after the passing of parents, a measure designed to address their undecided allocations before their death. The Quran goes beyond mere encouragement and obliges Muslims, as emphasized in a verse, to ensure clarity in wealth allocation before their demise, ensuring that the legacy is already shared justly among heirs in fairness according to their needs and capabilities. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 180 states, "It is decreed upon you that when death approaches one of you and she leaves wealth, that she makes a fair bequest for the parents and closed ones, according to what is acceptable, a duty upon the righteous." Furthermore, the Quran acknowledges the intricacies of financial support, nafaka, for women by their male partners. In situations where men possess a greater capacity for income generation, verse 34 of chapter 4, which may naturally emerge due to societal opportunities, the responsibility for financial maintenance is entrusted to them. This acknowledges historical contexts where circumstances often allowed men greater opportunities to work outside the home, such as during the time of the Prophet and even up until the recent spread of modernization in work practices in many places. In such scenarios, the equity through disparity is understandable. However, as societies progress and women gain equal capacity and opportunities to work for pay, what remains applicable is not the letter of the instruction, but the essence of its purpose, an unwavering commitment to gender justice. It is important to view these Quranic teachings through the lens of evolving societal dynamics while maintaining a focus on the overarching principle of equality. Moreover, it's worth noting that the Quran also explicitly negates any entitlement of men to lay claim to women's property, an important stipulation found within the verses of Surah An-Nisa. Here, we shed light on a few more instances within the Quran where it confronts the prevailing dominance of masculinity, a theme that has often remained in the shadows. The Quran's critical stance against sexism as exemplified in the reactions to the birth of female children, is vividly captured in Surah An-Nahl. "And when one of them is given the news of a female child, his countenance darkens, and he suppresses his feelings. He ponders whether to keep her in disgrace or bury her beneath the soil. Indeed, how wretched is their judgment." Chapter 16. Verses 58 to 59. Certainly, here is the narrative from Surah Al-Imran, verses 35 to 37, that exemplifies the Quran's elevated stance against a culture of male dominance and illustrates the aspiration for gender equality in a context where only males were given the status of leadership and educators. In Surah Maryam, one of the longest chapters named after a woman, we witness a powerful testament to the Quran's unwavering commitment to gender equality, even in an era steeped in ruthless patriarchal norms. In a world dominated by fierce male dominance and where even men struggled to engage in meaningful resistance, the Quran chronicles the remarkable tale of Mary. Contrary to the fervent desires and prayers of Mary's mother for a son who would carry forth noble missions, God grants her a daughter that leaves her astonished. However, this daughter is destined to follow a path far beyond expectations. She becomes the pupil who surpasses her teacher, Zechariah, a man. This woman's journey results in the nurturing of Christ, a symbol of liberation against the shackles of ancient Judaic orthodoxy and the bloodthirsty Roman Empire. Her divine mission reshapes the course of history, forever altering the trajectory of the world. This Christ, uniquely attributed to Mary in the Quran, defies traditional covenant narratives, bridging the past and present. Mary's indelible impact is embodied in her son, Jesus, who emerges as a beacon of change, solidifying her role as the catalyst for his birth. The legacy of Mary's pivotal role in birthing Jesus, distinct from the conventional narrative involving Joseph, ensures her prominence throughout history. In Surah Maryam, the Quran reverberates with the echoes of a woman who defied expectations, transcended limitations, and reshaped the destiny of humanity. Mary's story resounds as an enduring testament to the Quran's recognition of the vital and transformative role of women in the most pivotal moments of history. Undoubtedly, if historical circumstances had allowed, Mary would have undertaken this endeavor herself. However, in ancient times, there was little room for women's activism. Even today, the path for women's struggle remains arduous. Nevertheless, this should never serve as an excuse to restrict our women and daughters from engaging beyond the confines of the home and workplace, within the realm of politics and society. For it was the advent of figures such as Christ and Muhammad, shaped and inspired by prominent women like Mary and Khadijah in their respective eras, that served as a catalyst for women to ascend to the position of emancipators. Their arrival signaled the dawn of a new era, where the potential for women to break free from societal constraints and contribute in diverse realms became a reality. The legacies of these transformative figures should inspire us to continue championing the cause of gender equality and empower our women to transcend the barriers that hinder their full participation in the spheres of politics, society, and beyond. The Quran approaches gender equity from a perspective that envisions the entire universe as an intricately woven tapestry, interconnected and governed by a unified set of principles. This view is simplistically called monotheism, whereas the word used in Arabic, tawhid, means an evolving unity. In this all-encompassing paradigm, there is simply no room for gender bias. Any semblance of inequality would inherently contradict the harmony it professes. In the grand chronicle of time, where do we find ourselves positioned? This is a query that warrants our introspection before the window of opportunity narrows. The response we arrive at intricately weaves the fabric of purpose and significance in our lives. We have a choice: to treat the Quran with blind awe, reciting it in the most amusing way possible, without truly internalizing its essence. Alternatively, we might demonize the Quran by attributing the injustices and outbreaks of violence made in its name, relegating it to a role of suppressing doctrine and thereby overlooking its profound wisdom. In both scenarios, the outcome remains essentially the same: depriving ourselves of a great source of inspiration and motivation. Yet, there exists a transformative path. We can metamorphose the Quran into a compelling platform against injustice, a beacon of freedom and enlightenment. By seizing the reins of our faith's destiny, we have the power to shape our own narrative. The choice rests in our hands. Embedded within such a liberated faith lies an innate dedication to liberating action, propelling us toward a world imbued with deeper meaning and purpose.